What's up, everybody? How's it going? I just thought I'd do a quick resource for you guys on how to improve your emotional well-being and your mental state through taking better care of yourself, as I feel like this is something that we're not really taught very clearly, and the resources out there are quite lackluster. And this isn't a substitute for therapy or any kind of professional work. This is just some anecdotal evidence on things that I've found personally that have helped me, that I think can help you. So, just a quick disclaimer, I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. This resource is not like a publication in the American Journal of Psychiatrists or, the Royal College of Psychiatry. This is just a very basic, anecdotally based evidence of things that I found helpful, and that I think maybe I wish somebody may have told me earlier, and I think that can really help you. In terms of my qualifications, I do have a qualification in health and well-being, and I do work in healthcare, but the purpose of this video wasn't to produce like a professional resource. It's to mainly produce like a personal resource that you can relate to from one human being to another, because we all go through different things in life. And I haven't really, I can't say I've had the most difficult life. My life's quite easy, but I think everyone's life, it does have points of adversity, points where you don't feel good. And I just wanted to make this for people who don't really know where to start in terms of taking better care of themselves. So that's really the purpose of this video. And I think that a lot of times people might want to take time off for, a break from their studies, or they might want to take some time off work for their mental health. But then once they've taken that time off, they're not really sure what to do. Maybe they just go for a shopping trip and stuff. And I feel like there's active emotional habits you can do to try and better understand yourself and take better care of yourself and your emotional well-being. So that's really the basis for this video, and I just want to go through a bit of intro. So I think every emotion has a purpose and a benefit to us, whether that's happiness to tell us it's our cue to celebrate after a difficult ride, or whether that's actually uncomfortable and sad times in life, because during those times actually we find out a lot about ourselves. They can be uncomfortable, they can be times for amazing amounts of personal growth and development. So every emotion does have its purpose, and but I think again it's all about balance, really. And I think it's important as well that you're not too hard on yourself and you have realistic aspirations and expectations of yourself. And I think a lot of people have this misconception that they should be happy all the time and just jumping for joy, and I think that's actually quite unsustainable, because there are times where your life is difficult and you do get exhausted, and to be jumping for joy all the time, it's just not sustainable. And I think sometimes when people do expect themselves to be happy all the time, and then they don't quite make it and they feel sad, then it can actually make them feel worse, that, they're not feeling happy, but they should be feeling happy all the time. And I think it can become like a negative, destructive feedback loop, which isn't really what we want. So it's important to be realistic, and it's important to be kind to yourself. And I think that we should really aim to be content with where we are in life. I think happiness is an emotion, but contentness, it's a state of mind. And I think we should be aim to be content with whatever place we are in life, because we know that we can get through it, rather than aiming to be jumping for joy all the time, which we can't do. So before I start the main habits that I wanted to go through to improve your emotional health and self-care, I actually did want to just start by saying that there's multiple aspects to a healthy life, and this is by no means an exhaustive list. But you do need to take into account your physical, your social, your emotional, and spiritual health. And I think these things are like they're components of it, and it's a balance, really. You need to incorporate all of those things, and this resource is really to focus on your emotional health and how to take better care of it with yourself. This isn't really a substitute for therapy or anything. This is, like I said, just personal advice on what I've done and what I think has helped me. But it might not necessarily work for you. And if you try these things and they don't work, maybe it's time to think about getting some more professional help. But like I said, these are just some pointers that I think can really help you improve your self-awareness of what's going on around you and in your head, and thus you can implement better emotional care and health if you know what's going on within inside yourself. But like I said, there are other components to consider, like your social support and your physical health. They also contribute to your mental stability, so don't ignore those. And like I said, they're all interlinked. So there we go. Um, Anyway, onto the main bulk of the video, the habits now. So the first category of habits I wanted to talk about was routine. So I think getting your body into a routine is really helpful, including but not limited to, regular sleep, regular wake up times, regular meals, even going to the toilet regularly. I know it sounds quite silly, but I think it's not to be underestimated how much your body likes routine. Um, and I think that sometimes we can get carried away with a lot of things. There's a lot of distractions for us at the moment, especially with social media and things. And I don't think necessarily you should cut out social media of your life, but I think they're all designed to keep you scrolling and keep you engaged. And I think a lot of people, especially who are younger and even older now, they spend a lot of time, they don't sleep until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, but they're just up at night in their um, beds on their phones, just scrolling through things. And I think, it's not necessarily bad to use social media, but I feel like there are harms and benefits. And I feel like once it's impeding into your sleep time, that's actually not good. And we should really try and focus on regular sleep, regular wake up, regular meals, trying to actually get ourselves to sleep properly. So, reducing our blue light exposure, just trying to make ourselves a little bit tired before bed, trying to get into a relaxing mood, get the room at the right temperature, that sort of thing. If we really improve our sleep quality and our routines, I think that can have unspoken amounts of benefits for our not just physical health, but our emotional health specifically, because I think it really does benefit the brain, and it does really help you feel a lot more well rested and less fatigued. So I think routine is definitely a good place to start when you're looking to take better care of yourself. The next category of habits I wanted to talk about were creative habits, whether that's writing, drawing, cooking, building, making models. It can be anything really. Um, like I said, this isn't a resource about professional psychiatry, but there's a lot of research into creative outlets and how they can let you get into a positive flow state where, you're really focused on what you're doing, and you can cut out distractions and you can feel good in the moment that you're doing it because you're just so focused. And I think creativity isn't to be underestimated in its impact on our emotional health. I think it can really be beneficial. A lot of times you can feel bad or, just feel under the weather and you don't really know why. And sometimes that isn't because you don't know why, it's actually because you don't have the ability to express yourself about really how you're feeling. And I think having a creative outlet, whether that's writing, drawing, cooking, whatever, I think it's a really great way of being able to express yourself and use parts of your brain that we don't really routinely use in maybe our 9 to 5 jobs. Um, and I feel like this area of our brain, we don't really use it since childhood. In school we're always playing outside. They ask us to just write stories. There's no really criteria given, but as we get older and we go into secondary school, university, we start having exams, we start having marking schemes, marking criteria. When we start working at jobs, everything's about targets, financial targets, and it's all about these numbers and criteria, and we really lose our capability of expression and creativity. And I feel like we definitely need to incorporate some of those. So don't just listen to this and go and spend all your money and your savings on a painting set and a canvas, but maybe just regularly once or twice a week find some way, some habit that you like. It could be cooking a small meal, it could just be writing whatever's on your head. I think it's a good way of expressing yourself and getting into a positive mindset during that flow state. I think it really does help in terms of improving your emotional health. So the third category of self-care habits I wanted to talk about was self-evaluative. And this is really what I mean by this is taking a look at your life through a reflective lens and trying to find out what's going on. So I think if you keep something like a journal, it could be written, it could be on voice recordings, whatever's easiest for you. Um, or just even mentally spending time before you sleep, just working out what's going on in your life. I think it can really help. You can identify what's going on, especially if you write it down. You end up really making it so concise. And even if you keep going for ages and ages, it's a good way of, letting everything out in a controlled manner. And I think you can pinpoint at an exact moment how you're feeling, and then if you keep doing that over multiple times, you can actually identify patterns. Why am I feeling bad? Is it because of this or because of that? So then you can identify patterns, and then it doesn't just have to be a place of negativity or outlet. You can actually start tracking other aspects of your life, like your goals and your progress towards them, and it can actually be a really useful tool in terms of advancing your life forward in a more positive direction. And that's something that I've definitely found has helped me during very difficult times. It might seem counterintuitive when you're going through a difficult time to just pull out a book and start writing. So obviously, don't do it in the heat of something if you need to do something else. But when you're just trying to make sense of everything, I think it can definitely be a really useful tool in terms of figuring out what's going on. And then once you understand really what's going on, or you just get it out, I think you can feel better. And it's definitely a step in the right direction towards improving your self awareness, and by extension, your ability to take better care of your emotional health and your mental state at the time. So the fourth category of habits I wanted to talk about was exercise, and I could have included this in the routine part, but actually I feel like there's a huge amount of evidence to support that exercise is just amazing, not just for your physical health, where people probably consider its main benefits, but actually your emotional health. There's huge amounts of endorphins and serotonin and all these kind of biochemical hormones and neurotransmitters that are improved in people who exercise. And I feel like not even from a biochemical perspective, but I feel like even from a psychological perspective, exercise is really beneficial because it's a great way to let out. It's a great way to use emotions and redirect energy in a positive form. It's a great way to improve yourself and give yourself targets to aspire to. And it's also a great way to push yourself beyond your limits. So it's a good way of improving your resilience, which is definitely an important skill in life, and especially in terms of taking care of yourself. So I feel like it's not just the physical and biochemical aspects, but it's also the psychological aspects as well that really make exercise so good for you and your emotional well-being, that I feel like I just had to include it in its own category. And I feel like there's just so much variety in exercise. You can do team sports if that's your thing, or if that's something you're lacking in your life, like social interactions. You can easily join a club, easily join a public space for working out. Might be a bit difficult in Corona, but they are starting to open up the gyms and the sports clubs again, so I'm sure I'll be back in no time. And it's also a great way that, if you feel like you see people too much, it's a great way to do individual sports like swimming, running, weightlifting. So there's a huge variety. You can really find any kind of form of exercise that helps you, whether that's something easy to do like yoga when you wake up in the morning, or whether it's something that you want to invest more time in, like training programs and stuff. I feel like there's a huge amount of variety that you can use, and it's just really a wonderful way of improving your physical health. And you, like I said, you have the social benefits as well if you want, but really the carryovers from the psychological impacts of exercise, being able to overcome adversity and push yourself. I think it's really definitely a good thing to do and include to take better care of yourself in the emotional aspects. Finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about was pursuing interests, and I think this is actually a great way of alleviating fatigue and giving you something to look forward to every day, and just trying to break through the tedium of sometimes if you have like a 9 to 5 job or something, you can be so tired and we get so carried away we don't pursue things that we find interesting. And I'm not asking you to quit your job and go traveling around the world, but I am saying that it's important to have something you look forward to doing every day, whether that's reading 5 minutes of a book. I mean, you probably won't finish 100 books in a year at that pace, but at least you have something to look forward to, whether that's cooking a small meal, going for a walk, maybe even just, spending some time by yourself. Just pursuing interests. If you want to open a business, don't, take out a loan after reading this, but spend some time, look at gaps in the market. I think it's really a great thing you can do incrementally each day. Just pursue your interests, because I think sometimes we just get so carried away and so tired out by what we're doing that we can actually end up just not doing things we enjoy anymore. And I feel like that's definitely a thing that leads us into this kind of rut mentality and this kind of very dreary view of ourselves. And sometimes when we feel tired, actually, it was in a great book I read once called Nothing You Don't Already Know by Alexander Den Hidja. You don't have to go pick it up, but he did say something that I feel really resonates with us today, and he said that sometimes when you feel tired, it's not because you've been doing too much, but it's because you've been doing too little of the things that you enjoy. And I feel like that's definitely true for a lot of us as we get busy, as we get older. We kind of don't really do the same things that we enjoy anymore, whether that's because we don't make time for them or we're too tired. And I feel like that is definitely something we can look to improve in our life, is to make something included in our day that we look forward to every day, even if it's small, like 5-10 minutes. I think it can have huge benefits for our emotional health and just our general state of mind, actually. So I definitely recommend that. So anyway, that's the end of these lists of habits. So just to summarize, it was trying to implement a better routine, trying to find some sort of creative outlet, trying to have a better self-reflection of yourself, including some exercise and pursuing your interests. Try these, let me know how you find them. Leave me some feedback. If these don't work for you, don't worry, there's numerous other things you can do, but these are the ones that I personally found were best for me, and I think can really benefit a lot of people in terms of their emotional health and their self-care. So yeah, take care. Let me know if you have any feedback for me, and if these don't work, like I said, it's not the end of the world, but it might actually be a sign that you might need to look elsewhere, in terms of trying to improve your mental state. So I just wanted to finish with that. So anyway, take care of yourselves, do your best, and let me know how everything goes.